under this bridge?
Yeah.
Okay. Like right there under the bridge?
Yeah.
Or?
This side of the bridge. And, behind one of these support pillars.
Okay. Stuck with. He said it was the bridge here right by the jail. From what he's saying, it sounds like overpass, but we'll clarify.
A patrol car is sent to inspect the area of the underpass that Brian stated was the crime scene. There, officers are quickly able to confirm he was telling the truth.
It's right here.
Oh, you see it?
Yeah. Because there's an arm. Hey.
Good search ever.
There's an arm, there's another arm.
Okay, hold on. Do some pictures. Start right now.
There's another one.
I don't have a clue. Okay.
This is like something out of TV.
Yeah. Just having a discussion with the deputy chief about how these kids don't have any remorse. Right, here's a leg. Well, it could be the upper arm or a leg.
Well, there's three. There, and there.
Pieces down there, I mean.
A patrol guide to yellow tape it and then hold it, because the potential is that there's a secondary by the boat launch.
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, we
'cause
can
if
run
you
out
wanna
there
go,
and look at that, and then if you guys, we can just ask for a.
I'm switching to primary, hold on.
But if we can get the lab out here, that would be the best thing.
yeah, get forensics out here.
After the 8-minute drive to the sheriff's office is complete, the deputy escorts Brian Jr. into the interrogation room.
He's
Is
right.
Dad cooperative?
Everybody's cooperative, including Dad's Brian Sr., son is Brian Jr.
They're ready for him.
Okay, cool. Let me call parents, let them know to park here, and then we'll have someone meet them out front. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is if you can pull into the front of the sheriff's office, and when you do that, you're gonna... Okay, no problem. Okay, so you're just gonna pull up in the front of the sheriff's office, okay, and just park up here at the front, and then we will have somebody, most likely myself, will come out here, and I'll look for you, and then as soon as you guys pull up and are just parked, I'll meet you and walk you back, okay? Okay, sounds good. Just hang tight in your car, and then you'll see me come out, and then we can meet then. Okay, I'm gonna walk him back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Brian.
Thank you.
No problem, sir. So walk with me. We're gonna walk right this way, okay?
You're fine with me not being in cuffs.
I'm fine with you not being in cuffs.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, Brian, open this door for me, please. Oh, let's pull it. There you go.
Okay, sorry, I thought
You're
it was
good,
locked.
you're good. Alright, just face that glass right there for me. Okay. Just walk over for me, Brian. Alright, slow down. You're a big guy. Slow down.
Sorry.
You're okay. So we're gonna take a right here. Okay, keep on walking.
Yes.
Walk through these guys here.
Oh, I should have a mask.
You're okay. Don't worry about it, okay? Keep on walking. Yep. Alright, we're gonna take a left. Keep going. Take another left. Hard left, right here, right here. Oh, sorry. You're alright. Okay. So have a seat, and we'll be with you in a moment, okay? Thanks, Brian.
The parents arrived just a couple of minutes after their son.
Just follow me all the way down. We're gonna have you guys have a seat in here and we'll be with you shortly.
In the interview room, Terry Cohey is understandably upset and anxious. Her eldest son has just admitted to murdering a stranger for the thrill of it. The detective wants to know the question on everyone's mind at this point. What would drive this seemingly non-violent teenager to murder?
Tell me about Brian. Does he have any kind of mental issues or disabilities?
At 5, we were told he has ADHD.
Okay.
So we put him on ADHD medicine. He detected it during the summer or weekends only when he was in school.
Okay.
In middle school, he started exhibiting antisocial behavior.
Okay.
Just saying things to get kids riled up and thinking it was funny.
Okay.
And the doctor had said, yes, he's ADHD. Yes, he's autistic. Yes, he's this. Oh, and there's some indications that he should get further testing because of potential psychosis.
Okay.
And I asked about referrals and called, and nobody in town would see him.
Okay.
The only place to go was Denver. And I was like, how am I supposed to just take him to Denver? And so we got him involved with. And she worked with him for about a year, and then COVID hit. And so she couldn't do sessions anymore. And they tried to do over the phone sessions, but it's just not very effective, beneficial. It's just kind of like we just were like, okay, well, he seems to be doing good. You know, he graduated high school. He works at, and he's been working there for a year in August.
The detective wants to know more about the medications Brian is on, and if he's actually taking them.
And you said he's not taking his medication, or is he on medications now?
He's on ADHD medicine.
Okay.
That he takes before work.
Okay.
On his part-time job.
Okay.
And he takes sertraline, which is an anti-anxiety, antidepressant.
Okay.
So he's been diagnosed that as well.
And to the best of your knowledge, is he actually taking them? Like, do you watch him take
I
them?
don't watch him take them, but I have an alarm set, and every night at 10 p.m. I say, Brian, take your medicine. And he says, I know, I am.
Okay.
And as I've looked at his pill container, I mean, it's going, you know, seems to be going down.
Okay.
So I assumed he was taking it.
Okay. What about alcohol or any other recreation drugs?
No.
Nothing like that. When you talked about the school stuff and having lots of issues, what were the issues that they were having that made other kiddos not feel safe?
He would make jokes that were not appropriate. He got suspended a few times, like for behavior that wasn't acceptable, like this one girl that he knows very well. He knows that she has a lot of issues, and that loud noises frighten her. And so, you know, one of his school suspensions was when he, you know, came up to her in the hallway and clapped really loud next to her, you know, knowing that it would put her in a panic, and she cried, and we were like, yep, nope, you know, that's not how, nope. You knew that would upset her, and you did it anyway. And he got suspended for prohibited use a weapon, but there was another boy who brought in nunchucks to school on the school bus, and Brian was like, wow, cool, you know, and you some candy. So Brian gave the kid candy, and the next day the kid comes on the bus with 2 sets of nunchucks. One are glass, and the other ones, I guess they're like rubber. I don't know. I never actually saw them.
Okay.
But so he's like, I know I can't take the glass ones because I'd be in trouble for that. So he took the rubber ones and he put them in his backpack. And his backpack was, I don't know if it was in his backpack or in his jacket. There was some differentiating stories.
Okay.
But so the teacher saw them and they said, "What's that, Brian?" And he was like, nothing, you know. And so Papa Omar, you know, he was like, you know, we have a prohibited weapon on school grounds. And I'm like, okay, well, what about the other kid that brought them in? And they said, that kid doesn't have the behavior issues that Brian has. And I'm like, oh, so you're punishing Brian because he has behavior issues. I see. So Brian went through probation and he completed it successfully.
The line of questioning pivots to Brian's behaviors and interests.
How about stuff at home with you and your husband and your other son? Like any kind of violent behavior or weird behavior, like the stuff with
Brian's textbook weird.
Okay.
You know, I mean, he's always, you know, he's either ADHD and we're struggling with social thinking and social behaviors and learning and, you know, it's always been a challenge with Brian.
But not violent behavior towards you and your husband. What about other kids in the neighborhood or on the bus?
He didn't really, you know, he had a couple of friends that he's had since elementary, but, you know, he had a morbid sense of humor and would make jokes, and I'd say, Brian, that is not funny. And he'd go, yeah, it is, Mom. You just don't get my sense of humor, you know. But some of his behaviors that we attributed to autism, like the flat face, maybe isn't attributable to autism. Obviously, it's something else.
Okay. What about any fascinations or things that he fixates on?
A lot of perseveration on crime and crime scene. And so he was talking about going into the military in the fall, and when he gets out, having your job.
Okay.
And so I had purchased online a crime scene investigation book for him. You know, it's like ones that they give. You probably read it when you first started out in college. And so I gave that to him, and I was like, so here, Brian, you know, let's channel that curiosity into something positive that you can affect a good change in the world.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, that's my plan, Mom. But you know, he's not going to say always had a fascination. You know, I'm going to say in the last few years.
Okay. And is it like shows that he watches, or like tries to do things to create a scene? You know what I mean? Like whether it's like animal stuff or nothing.
No,
like
he
that.
loves our dogs.
Okay.
You know, I mean, he's very affectionate with our animals. And, you know, he would watch, you know, like just last week he watched Silence of the Lambs. But I was like, well, he's 19, not sure, you know.
Probably all watch it.
I watched it. It doesn't make me a serial killer, you know.
Is there anything else about Brian or the last couple of weeks?
No, he's always, you know, sometimes he's affectionate, you know, and every night when I say, I love you, Bugs, and he says, I love you too, Mom, you know, and he gives me a hug, and, you know, he's at work when he's supposed to be at work. He's never, I mean, other than his behavior issues in high school, it's like there's never really been, like, anything legal that was, you know, that was a problem, that I was like, uh-oh, you know.
When they did his testing, and forgive me because I don't know all of the exact language and stuff, but like on the spectrum of his autism stuff, did they kind of give you a range, or did they say we think maybe based on some behavior
he was high functioning, you know, that he did the IQ tests well and blah, blah, blah. But they said, but, you know, in going through this, I think that it would be beneficial if he received further testing. And I said, okay, who do I go to? And they gave me a couple names, and I called them, and they said, no. And then I said, okay, who else should I call? And I called them, and they said, nope. And I said, who else should I call? And I called them, and they said, nope. And there was nobody else to call.
Okay. And this services, is she just kind of doing some basic counseling type stuff?
She works specifically with autistic children.
Okay.
And so we were referred to her from.
Okay.
And, you know, like I said, he was doing group, going in to see her once a week, and, you know, and because of everything going on in school, you know, we said, you know, we don't feel like he's a danger to other people or to us, you know. Maybe himself, if, you know, something happens, but, you know, and I was like, do you think he's a danger to others? And she goes, well, from the discussions we had, I can't really make that determination, but.
So he must have been going to her for quite a while then.
He was seeing her for about a year. He had been seeing for a year and a half, but he wasn't making any progress with. Things just kept getting worse and worse. Behaviors were worse. Like I said, there's never any violent outbursts. Never, you know, just a fascination with some things that I thought we were channeling properly, and, you know, his morbid sense of humor, and that I was like, well, Stephen King's got a morbid sense, you know, and he's a freaking millionaire writing books, you know.
Brian Sr. is dumbfounded by the situation he's found himself in.
Our kids are both doing good. They're okay in school. They don't drink or smoke. So I didn't really have no warnings that this was going to happen.
But he quickly realizes that this is not an accurate picture of his son.
He's obviously sick. He's obviously very sick. We've noticed weird things about him. Some days he gets cold. Just he looks at me and he has this cold look on his face. And I can just tell that, I don't know if it's from his friends that he's hanging out with or what, but.
Tell me about some of the, I know he's had some issues in school, but tell me about Brian from his childhood.
Very
growing up.
He was good growing up, but I think they diagnosed him early in elementary school with ADHD because he would, you know, he had trouble meeting friends, trouble talking, doing funny things. So he was always kind of on his own. He was a loner. You know, he had friends, a certain amount of friends, but he wasn't like, hey, everybody, you know, he wasn't accepted very well.
Okay.
In school, he wasn't accepted, I know that, but he's got friends that he hangs around with, you know, respectable friends, and we just thought, but it just seems like not friends that would ever, not those kind of friends.
Sure.
Clean, good friends.
Okay.
You know, the worst they have is they play video games. They drink too much Pepsi. That's my only complaint when all his friends come over. They stay up too late.
Okay.
None of them are. I don't know what happened. I don't know why. What made him go? You know, and I'll never know that question. I don't know how many times you want to ask me. I don't know why,
right.
Who, when, where. I don't know. I'm just as in the dark about this as you.
Still, Brian Sr. maintains there was not a single sign that anything like this would ever happen.
Never been physical at all with any family members.
Okay.
Mom, Dad, Brian, dogs. Never any not a cool bone in his body.
Okay.
Never, ever, nothing.
Okay.
And as far as his friends, no, he's never been in a fight in his life.
Okay.
He's never hit anybody. He's just like his dad. I mean, I've never been in a fight, man. I thought just saw he was going to be a spin-off of me. Because he's non-violent, but he's not. I don't know what's going on now. Okay. Everything's different.
By the end of his time in the interview room, Brian Sr. laments the loss of his family's reputation in the community.
This is too much for me. I have the same name as my son, and now this has happened. I need to move to Mogadishu or something. Because I can't, this is going to kill my family. How do I know this guy's family's not going to come after us?
Well, I mean, there's lots and lots of...
I don't know how this is going to unravel.
Sure.
For the sins of my son, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
And my wife is just a mess.
I mean, just take it one day at a time. That's all you can do anyway. And I know there's lots and lots of unknowns and lots of stuff we don't know. It's going to take us days and weeks to sort things out. So try not to panic in the meantime and think too far ahead. Let's just think about...
No, you guys are in charge right now. Terry and I have decided we can't do anything until we're out of this. Until you guys say, okay, you are released. Right now we can't do anything.
Well, and...
we can't go anywhere. I'm not working anymore. She can't have any more kids anymore. Everything's over. It's all done now. It's over. Our lives are totally over. She runs a license in-home daycare. She can't have a license anymore.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, okay. Well, her parents, when this hits the news, all the kids are going to be pulled out.
Maybe.
So yeah, everything's going to go belly up here. So if things are going to change, I don't know how it's going to change, but I got a feeling Grand Junction's no longer going to be our hometown because my name's been trashed.
In another room at the Mesa County Sheriff's Office, Brian Cohey Jr., now under arrest and charged on suspicion of first-degree murder, has waived his Miranda rights and is ready to talk with investigators. They waste no time getting straight to the point.
How did you get here?
I murdered someone.
Okay. But how did you get to my office?
Well, the police drove me here from my mom's house.
Okay. You said you murdered someone.
I did.
Did you know the person?
No.
No?
No. I was driving one night. I was in a, shall we say, bad state of mind.
Okay.
I saw a strange shape by the railway tracks, so I investigated, and it revealed to be a homeless person sleeping. Well, I presumed homeless, because he was there.
Okay.
So, I stabbed him to death.
Okay.
Then decapitated his head and hands and arms.
Okay.
I then took the head and put it in my car trunk along with the hands in bags, plastic Ziploc bags. I took it back to my house, cleaned off the knife, tried to hide the head and hands, removed the trash in my car that was stained in blood. And then I tried sleeping. However, I was quite stupid, shall we say, because I decided that's too much evidence. The body needs to be dumped in the river. So I took the body in the trunk, drove it to the Blue Heron drop-off point, and unsuccessfly dumped the body as I parked too low down the ramp. The ramp is mud and dirt, so unless you have four-wheel drive, you're not getting out. And I was able to get out, and my car flooded. Let's see, I killed him just after 11, February 27th, 2021. And then I dumped the body. I tried to dump the body. I'm trying to remember the time exactly. It was 1 a.m.
Okay.
And yeah.
So that sounds fascinating.
What do you want to know?
To start back at the beginning and go slow and tell me as many details as you can remember.
So, because I mean, I'm already going to jail for this 15 years probably.
I have no idea.
Because
we're at the beginning.
It's murder. I mean, I'm going to jail for 20 probably, but so I figured, why fight it?
Okay. So what's important to me is to learn as much about you and what you did as I can.
Well,
as many details as you can give me, the better.
I drive a 2007 Ford 500.
Okay.
And I keep a small 18-inch bat in there for self-defense.
Okay.
And a large kitchen knife in the glove box, both for self-defense, because I don't really trust anyone, or really any part of this town, so that's why I have both. And, let's see, yeah, it was the night of February 27th. It was a full moon. And I figured, I can see so well, why not drive out? And I am in a bad state of mind at that time. I have major depressive disorder, so I am not thinking, I shall say, positively.
Okay.
And I'm cruising around for an hour and a half. So I fill up on gas halfway through, and I'm eventually driving underneath the bridge near the sheriff's office. You know, like how... Can I?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
There's a road underneath, right? That's under the overpass. And I was driving along, and I see a shape here on the railway track. So I'm like, oh, interesting. So I go up, and as I'm looking, I see a large thing wrapped in a canvas.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's a homeless person. So I grab my knife, I put on 3 layers of gloves, because plastic gloves can betray their users because they're so thin, those vinyl gloves, by putting your fingerprints through. So I put on 3 on one hand. I took the knife, I pulled back the canvas, and I stabbed his neck.
Okay.
He was panicking at first in his old man voice. He was in his 50s. I'm not lying. I know why I call him an old man. He was saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why? Ah!" And I just kept on stabbing his neck. Is it okay if I do a demonstration?
Oh yeah.
This is him. I was strapped on top of him like this.
Okay.
And he couldn't fight back. It was actually surprisingly easy. I was barely breaking a sweat. I thought, oh, this guy, he's going to be tough. But no, it was actually surprisingly easy. And during the time, I was growling and making animalistic noises.
Why were you doing that?
I suppose it was a frenzy.
Okay.
I was so excited, so rushed up on adrenaline and everything. It's just, woo-hoo! And I paused, and he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And I said, "I've been wanting to do this for a long time, murder someone." And then I continued. The whole ordeal lasted about a minute and a half.
Okay.
And I stabbed, and when I was finished stabbing him, he took out his last breath, a grunt, and his head was halfway cut off in stabs. All the while, no, actually, after I killed him, I just couldn't stop saying, "Stinky, dirty, dirty, stinky, stinky." I wasn't smelling anything, but...
And why were you saying that?
I don't know.
Okay.
And,
But you remember doing it, so...
Yeah. I suppose it was just me speaking out my mind at that moment. It was a pouring out of the mind.
Were you worried about, I mean, this looks like it's pretty close to the road and stuff, somebody seeing you or catching you?
It was 11 p.m., so not many were driving by. Well, it was behind the pillar. So, like, here's the road. It was here. So people would only see a brief thing here and here.
So were you worried about them seeing you?
I was worried about one of them stopping. But
what did you think could happen if somebody...
Well, if they looked, well, it was quite dark under there, so they wouldn't have seen the guy unless they looked. They would have seen me holding a bloody 12-inch knife, wearing gloves, and wearing a mask to conceal my identity, a face mask.
Okay. So you weren't doing it for COVID, you were doing it to hide your face?
Partially. Social distancing.
Right.
Yeah, but no one stopped. And I'm just like, proves the bystander effect.
Nonchalantly, the killer goes into chilling and graphic detail about what he did to Warren Barnes' body. We'll spare you the gruesome details. He then tells the investigators what he did with the various body parts once he was home with them.
And then I left his body there. And then I took the head, put it in a leftover pizza box from the dinner a few nights ago. And then I took the hands, put them in the back, drove home, hid the hands and head in my room, cleaned the knife, threw away the garbage with the blood on it, and then put the blood stained, wasn't stained, it had splatters on it. I put it in the dish, in the washing machine.
What did you put in there?
I put the outfit I murdered him in a washing.
Wearing, or?
Yeah, I was wearing.
Okay.
In a washing machine, put it on high speed so it would effectively remove the blood. Wash it twice. And then I tried going to sleep, but I was worried that because there was a hole in my gloves right here, I was worried that they would be able to obtain a partial print. So I figured, why not go all the way? I drove back in a different outfit, picked up his body, surprisingly heavy, put it in my trunk, and drove to the Blue Heron drop-off station.
Okay.
I parked, so it's like this, right? So let's say this is the ground. The ramp is quite steep, and you need to have four-wheel drive to pull out of it.
Okay.
And my car didn't. I thought, so I pull in, I thought that I could drive out. Because I put it in reverse, A, so that it's easier to pull the body out, and B, because the back tires would provide propulsion to push up.
Right.
And I open the trunk, I take his body out, I put it in the water, and because I don't want fingerprints on a body, so I just try moving it with my shoes. That works successfully. He goes out some part in the river and floats off.
Okay.
God knows where he is now.
Investigators are still curious to get to the bottom of Brian Cohee's state of mind at the time he committed the murder.
And you talked about you were just kind of in a bad space that night.
It was, yes.
Okay. Why were you in a bad space?
I didn't take my medicine, and plus for years I was wondering what murder would feel like, because like Ted Bundy and the Zodiac, they all say murder is the best feeling in the world. So I'm like, I'm going to try that.
Okay.
So for some time I had been wondering when it would happen. I always knew I would be in this building, whether it was as a criminal or a police officer.
Okay.
Because I was planning to go in the military, go into forensics.
Okay. All right.
And
how long do you really, honestly think you've been thinking about really at some point you wanted to know what murder felt like?
A year.
Okay. All right. And you said you've read books?
I read books. I have a book on forensics.
Okay. Did you read the book, the Ted Bundy book?
No, I have not read the
Okay.
Ted Bundy book.
Okay.
I
Probably have seen excerpts. Have you seen, little comments from it or things like that?
I'm not sure what book you're talking about.
The one you mentioned, the whole stuff about Ted Bundy. A lot has been written.
No, it was on the internet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. And Pete has studied him too. So.
Crazy.
You seem more like Ed, if you know who Ed.
Ed Gein?
No, Ed in California. Big Ed.
Ed Kemper.
Yeah. Studied him? You remind me of Ed Kemper.
I know of him. He was a police. He was a Goliath. He was 6'9", 300 pounds.
So can I ask you a question? Almost all those people did this for some sort of, whether they had sex with the body or it was some sexual gratification in their mind?
Criminology, there's different types of... I'm not a serial killer by no means. But with serial killers, there's different types of them. There's organized, disorganized, visionary, missionary.
I'm just wondering what gets you excited about doing it?
Well, I'm not really sexually attracted to it.
Okay. I was just asking.
It was just curiosity, more or less.
And you said you studied criminology and forensics and all that?
Not college study or school study. It's like a passing interest.
I understand. But what, were you worried about, like, leaving evidence behind or being caught?
Totally.
Tell me about that and what you did then.
Well, I was figuring the police don't... This is not to be taken offense, but police, they don't seem to care as much about high-risk individuals, homeless people, prostitutes, etc. So I was deliberately looking for someone who lived that type of life.
Okay.
And I found a homeless person, and the original goal was just leave him there. But I was worried about the fibers on the outfit I was wearing that would be on his clothes and stuff. So I deliberately messed up the clothes.
Okay.
Not cutting them up, just throwing them around. And I was worried about just how long it would take to find him, because it's a somewhat traveled road. Eventually someone with the windows down is going to smell something off. The police have a nose for that type of thing. They're trained to be able to identify the smell of a corpse. So that's where the river idea came from, because a river will wash away a lot of evidence. Rivers are quite tricky. And obviously that was botched.
So how long have you been planning or looking for someone to do this with before you found this guy?
About a year.
About a year?
No, 6 months.
So have you come close or seen somebody or chickened out or anything in the past?
No. I mean, I was looking for a deliberately secluded place like that one. I wouldn't just go up in Clifton and find someone walking down the street and stab them. No, that's too public. Everyone sees that.
Well, have you looked like at the homeless places or anything in the past?
I have, yes. I would go on night drives often, maybe once every 2 weeks. And I would just peruse the streets.
Okay. So before this guy, how close had you come in the past?
Not at all.
Not at all? You just drive around and...
Yeah, look, just try and find someone.
Anybody interesting and
no.
In your mind thought of a plan?
Well, occasionally when you see girls walking down the street, I take a glance at them, because it really is like Ed Kemper, where half of me says, well, I'm quite inept with women. I'm being honest, I'm no Casanova. But half of me says, I want to take that girl home and make her feel nice. And the other half of me, it's just like what Ed said, is I want to see what her head looks like on a stick. So occasionally when I'm driving down the road, if I see someone that catches my eye, I'll just like...
Were you worried about getting caught while you were doing it, or before you did it?
I was worried about afterwards. For this past day and a half, including this day, I felt so anxious. Because not only is my car in the river, there's blood on it, there's body parts in my house, my parents like to look through my things occasionally, and when they see blood, and eventually when they're going to get the news that a body was found in the river, that's very much circumstantial evidence that's pointing to me. So I was very much anxious these past days that I was eventually going to get caught.
Okay. What did you think would happen if you got caught?
Well, I figured my mother would have confronted me about it, but no, she didn't even say it until the police arrived. I thought the police would handcuff me, but apparently I've been cooperational, so...
Detective's line of questioning moves on to the big question. Why now?
So what in your life has changed, or what in your mind has changed to make you...
I don't know.
Was it like something all of a sudden one day you woke up and thought I'll kill someone, or was it a gradual?
It was gradual, I think. Call me weird, but I think everyone has had thoughts of shooting up their school. I didn't, though. And then because of that, I suppose I just don't really like people at all. I don't know.
So thoughts of shooting up the school to today, what has happened?
Well, last year my parents found a kit I had been assembling. It had hammers, shovels, knives, large zip ties, duct tape, saw. That was meant for hurting people. They found it though, and they were ready to call the police until I had convinced them it was via other methods, for other things. Like, and it was an ultimatum where if I didn't throw it away, all that, they would call the police, and then I would have been arrested on charges of conspiracy.
And what if he hadn't been caught? Would Brian Cohey have killed again?
If you had not been caught by your folks, what do you think you would have done next?
Would forget.
I don't know. No. Let's talk about like today. If you had been able to get rid of the head, and your folks did not find it.
Well, it depends.
Okay.
Would you guys have been able to solve it if the body was found in the river, the head and hands were missing, and there were no fingerprints or DNA?
Well, we'd like to think so, but who knows?
Right, who knows? We'd love to think so, but
So let's
who
say
knows?
we didn't solve it. What happens next?
Then what would you have thought of to do next?
Well, I thought I would have been very careful because I would have been worried at any moment this could become a cold case and then it could be solved later on down the line. So I probably would have done it again because that was just to see what it felt like. And if I had gotten away with it, I would have just kept the secret to the grave.
Brian Cohee's trial, where he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, lasted for 12 days. Throughout the proceedings, Cohee's attorney argued that his mental illnesses prevented him from knowing right from wrong. But the jury didn't buy it. They deliberated for 2 days before finding him guilty of first-degree murder. Judge Richard Gurley said that in his 37 years in the court system and 16 years as a judge, this was one of the most horrific cases he's ever seen. Cohee was sentenced to life in prison plus 13.5 years with no chance of parole, a far cry from the 15 years he believed he would receive when he was first interrogated. He is currently serving out his sentence at the Buena Vista Correctional Complex in Chaffee County, Colorado, where he will stay for the remainder of his natural life. Brian Cohee thought that he could get away with murder by taking the life of someone he believed wouldn't be worthy of an investigation. He couldn't have been more wrong. Warren Barnes was not only a beloved man in the downtown Grand Junction community, but most importantly, he was a human being who deserved to be treated with the dignity and respect that he offered others. According to the Colorado Sun, Barnes was a lifelong resident of the Grand Valley and told people that he spent time as a cowboy in the Book Cliff Mountains north of Grand Junction. He had a wife, a daughter, and a granddaughter. A sculpture by ironworker Tim Navin of a tree, chair, and stack of books, commissioned by one of the many people whose path intertwined with Barnes, sits in the breezeway outside of Monique's bridal shop where he used to pass the time. His mantra, "And you also," is inscribed on one of the books. The memory of the reading man lives on in downtown Grand Junction, despite a monster's attempt otherwise.